Hello everyone, welcome to our event where today we're talking about you, our incredible community of IT professionals and practitioners. My name is Nick Koutsoukos, VP of Marketing Strategy here at SolarWinds, and I will be your host for the day. Over the next hour, we will be discussing the opportunities ahead of us and how to overcome complexity with the SolarWinds platform. We will share recent updates to our SolarWinds observability solution and offering, and you will hear directly from our customer, Jeppy Sumter with Western Kentucky University regarding the SolarWinds deployment. One quick housekeeping item, we have a great set of subject matter experts available to answer any questions you have during the event. So please go ahead and type your questions in the Q&A panel on your screens. With that, I'm delighted to welcome Stephen Elliott with IDC, where he will talk about business and IT priorities for 2023, obstacles and challenges, and strategies of how to overcome those during the year. With me is Stephen Elliott, Group Vice President with IDC. Stephen, great to have you here.
It's Welcome. Great to be here. Thank you.
Let's talk about some recommendations that you have for business and IT leaders, as well as IT practitioners for 2023.
Yeah, there's a number of them. One that's coming up a lot, it might not surprise folks, but it relates to the efficiency theme, but it's really about tool consolidation and simplification. And what we're finding are organizations really going through this discussion of best of breed versus platform. And they're having pretty honest conversations about, particularly around operations, particularly around modern operations, what are the solutions that we should have with regards to driving fast outcomes for our technical and business metrics, as well as advanced capabilities for not just a singular team, but potentially other teams that need access to the information. So this is driving a lot of openness about, well, can our solution scale? Right. What are the integrations? How does it fit with other tool chains? What type of access can it provide to other stakeholders across IT? Can we expand it to, driving business outcomes? So this notion of tool rationalization and simplification is a hot button issue. One of the things we always talk about in these conversations with enterprise IT organizations is we sort of talk to them and say, hey, look, everybody has a car. And everybody's, yeah, of course. What's this have to do with this conversation? We say, well, if you have a car, you need car insurance. And we say to them, now everybody has different levels of car insurance. And by the way, everybody's right. That's how you got to think about tool consolidation, where we're pretty sure that most organizations can probably go through a pretty rational tool consolidation conversation. And they can say, hey, we could probably use a platform. Why do we need all these when we can move here? And we say, well, you have to make that decision, and maybe there's one tool that for very good reasons you have to have. But maybe there's three where the technology now has gotten to a point from a platform perspective where you can consolidate. And so these are the types of technical, conversations that come up in terms of feature function. And then the other side of it is, okay, processes, the staff that you have, the various other folks you want to bring into these projects to drive the efficiencies, but to also drive, faster time to outcomes. And so these are the important conversations around efficiencies and this whole theme of tool consolidation, best of breed versus platform. Yeah, I would say another key theme is if you're thinking about next steps, or you're thinking about investments in your career, automation, analytics, site reliability engineering, platform engineering are really good things to double click on. And they're providing tremendous opportunities because of new modern technologies, because of the importance to the foundation of a great operating model for any IT organization, for any CIO, and also the opportunity for leadership. There's a lot of folks out there, sometimes we'll get into this discussion of a third. A third of folks don't want anything to do with change. They have retirement on their mind, and they don't want to be bothered. You have another third that say, I'm open to change. I just don't want to lead it. And then you have the other third that are like, hands up. I want to lead change. I'm ready for change. We can do things better as an organization. I want to take it on. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, when you think about the things we're talking about here, other than the last third who are like, hey, don't bother me, I just want to retire. Everybody else should be open to saying, hey, you know what? There's great opportunities here to go into modern technologies, to go into observability, to go into site reliability engineering or DevOps, and to really think about the people, process, technology, and then the business outcomes you can help drive. The ability, to think about, wow, I can have an impact on my business and the customer experience.
It appears that hybrid IT is here to stay. Enterprises with combination of private clouds and use of multiple clouds is a reality and is here to stay. What recommendation do you have for folks that are dealing with that complexity? How do they manage multiple clouds, private clouds, and generally a hybrid IT infrastructure?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Pretty hard to answer. I mean, first, you've got to think about, accept that complexity is going to get more and more. Whether we're talking about application modernization, container serverless architectures, various public cloud architectures, each one's unique. The security, parameters that go with that, the process integrations, et cetera. And so you've got to think about it, what are the solutions that have multi-cloud support? And how do they sort of manage across the data collection, manage the complexity of the different processes and variety of data that each of the cloud platforms throw off. Even the public clouds, which again continue to be very, very critical to a lot of mission critical business applications that run the world. This hybrid notion of workload movement, very hard to do. So first, the tool perspective is really understanding what are the right solutions or platforms that can drive a unified view, that can really collect the information, think about, well, here's what it means to potentially identifying a problem or resolving a problem, applying analytics to the plethora of data coming from these different architectures, and then the great dashboards to help discover and to go solve things or prevent them. The other piece of it is sort of recognizing organizationally, how does your organization deal with the complexity? It's funny, I talked to a CIO recently, and we were having a conversation about multi-cloud and governance and management. And he said something pretty interesting. He said, 3 years ago, we had 3 different groups managing 3 different public clouds. And they realized 3 years into it, they were having the exact same conversation 3 different times, each of the cloud providers. And he goes, we were so inefficient. We were so confused. We were trying to do the right things, but we were wasting so much time asking one question 3 different times across 3 different groups that we realized this isn't right for us. He goes, we then took those 3 groups and we put them into one group. Now we're trying to manage multiple clouds and governance and security with one group across 3 different architectures. And it has helped streamline our efficiency. And at least we're asking one question in a more informed, more organized manner. And more importantly, we're pulling the right people across who have the same perspective, even though they're aimed at a different cloud. And so I think organizationally, it's important to sort of recognize, well, how is your company operating multiple clouds? And then how are you managing it? I talked to one big retailer recently, and he said to me, we've sort of have kept our private cloud very private and our public clouds really separate. Right. And he goes, and that's just how we think about how we operate as a retailer and what we think is best for our customer and the data security, et cetera, and the monitoring. So, everybody does things differently, but, it does start with understand the organizational construct and what you're trying to achieve, and then make sure you're thinking about what's the right tool or platform to drive that discussion and, drive the outcomes you want to achieve.
In the emergence of teams like observability engineering, it's probably driven by the fact that you do have a very sort of complex and varied environment that you need to observe and manage. How does observability engineering help to create that end-to-end visibility across these different environments?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of these observability teams and even the strategies before they implement, where they have to sort of think about what are the services they're going to attach to. And it's interesting because site reliability engineers are often, it's typically 2 to 4 services that an SRE will be assigned to help manage. And as they get through the process, they start thinking about, observability, what's the right level of observability based on what the business is willing to pay for it? Because 4 nines is really expensive, 3 nines a little less, and 2 nines, et cetera. But this matters because different services have different levels of reliability that should be deployed and managed. So observability folks are thinking about what are the platforms of tools that can help me get that end-to-end view, that can help me take that information and create service level indicators, service level objectives, that can help me have an error budget discussion. And that, especially in tight economic times, sort of change the conversation with the product owners or the service owners or even the line of business managers to go and say, hey, listen, we're investing all this time and energy and staff into making sure that your products have a great experience and they're highly available all around the world. But that's expensive. So if you want me to do more, give me more money, I'm happy to do it. Right. But if you're asking me to cut, then that means as a product owner or a service owner, you've got to make some business decisions about what you're willing to risk at the expense of a customer. And so it's fascinating because these observability teams and these SREs and the DevOps managers can go to the line of business in a sophisticated fashion and say, hey, we're doing a lot of great work here. Now, you might not understand observability or platform engineering or monitoring. That's okay. But you do understand revenues, profits, and customer experience.
Of course.
An NPS score. So here's how we're supporting that. So it's been fascinating to see as observability teams are built up, how they sort of define their value and how they can realize that value through the tools that they're selecting and the conversations they're having with these different business stakeholders. And to sort of almost change the conversation to, hey, okay, you want us to cut 3%? Okay. Let's talk about what that means for our business. And all of a sudden the product managers really say, oh, let me go talk to my manager and let us rethink how we might want to manage tight economic times. So it just becomes a really valuable conversation. And it's fascinating because a lot of observability teams that we've worked with who have gone through this, they come back to us and they say, oh my gosh, my business value and my ability and my standing in the organization just went up here. And they say, this is great. I want to bring more people into observability, into DevOps, and we'll do our thing, but we're really having a direct correlation to how our company is functioning, how our business managers are operating, and our role in delivering a great product and a great customer experience. And the business folks are saying, I understand that. Now I know how we can work together and how we can manage through some of these tight times.
Okay. I think that's about it for today. I wish we had a little bit more time to talk about this, but I think we touched on a lot of ground here. And thank you very much, Stephen, for those insights. And looking forward to the next time.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, everybody. My name is Brandon Schopp, and I'm one of the product leaders here at SolarWinds.
And I'm Abigail Norman. I'm one of the product marketing leaders.
And we're excited here to talk to you today about a lot of the product updates across the portfolio that we've done since our last time we talked, which was back in October.
Today, we're going to focus on updates to the SolarWinds platform. We have 2 solutions, Hybrid Cloud Observability and SolarWinds Observability. And Brandon, let's make sure everybody understands what that means.
Yeah, so as we look at the 2 products there, you got to think about Hybrid Cloud Observability is primarily targeted more towards an IT professional, network admin, a sysadmin, those types of folks. Whereas SolarWinds Observability is typically more aligned to kind of a DevOps type of person, a developer. Doesn't mean that they're not both hybrid in terms of the visibility that they have, in terms of on-premises and cloud-based resources. But it's really about the use cases and the problems that we're solving with each of those products.
And what does it mean that they're both on the SolarWinds platform? How is that beneficial for our customers?
Yeah, no, great question. And the big value prop there for us is going to be speed in which we can come out with new capabilities and new features. One of the things that you've likely noticed is the cadence in which we're releasing new functionality on the SolarWinds platform, be it with SolarWinds Observability every 2 weeks, or hybrid cloud observability has been on a quarterly basis.
And I think this is something that customers who have been with us for a long time it's a pace of release that they have never seen before, to have quarterly releases for our self-hosted solutions.
Correct, absolutely. And so with that, let's go ahead and dive right into the first set of products here and the updates around hybrid cloud observability. Hybrid cloud observability, again, is powered by our AIOps service and solution, and also it's built on our Secure by Design foundation. And so there are always, every release, new capabilities and functions that we're adding to make our offerings and our solutions much more secure in the market. So let's kind of talk through that. So first, we're continuing to work on simplifying cloud observability. What does that mean? So today we can monitor things like compute instances and attached storage. But as you probably see in the press and out there in the market, the number and types of services that these cloud providers, be it AWS or Azure, are bringing to market are continuing at a dizzying pace. And so people need visibility into those. And so while we have a handful today, we need to provide more visibility, more flexibility around that. And so what we've worked on, or what the team has worked on, is around our discovery mechanism. So how can I be more intelligent around discovery? How can I do things like discover and import by tags or by region? If I'm running various services in Tokyo AWS versus Frankfurt AWS, I may want to collect and monitor and visualize different services from different regions on that front.
Brandon, this is really interesting because cloud visibility has been a challenge for so long. This is something where we heard this from our customers many years ago, and we actually started to bring that visibility into the cloud with the release of NetPath, which has been years now. We've had a lot of great feedback from our customers, but what we heard from them is that they needed more. You need more visibility, that's not enough, that it needs to be easier to see all of that. And so as part of hybrid cloud observability, we were able to come from what we were delivering in the past with some of our modules and Network Performance Monitor, Network Configuration Manager, NetFlow Traffic Analyzer, break all those elements down, rebuild them into a comprehensive solution, which is hybrid cloud observability, move it onto the SolarWinds platform. And that really is what has given us the ability to add in these features that Brandon is talking about, to make the solution more intelligent, to bring in AIOps, and to continue to enhance this full observability story like we're doing with this cloud discovery in this release.
Absolutely. And so this is going to be a theme that will carry throughout 2023 as we do more releases. As most folks know, we're on a kind of a quarterly release cadence. So every release, there will be a little bit more when it comes to cloud discovery and cloud monitoring. And similarly, you see the same around SD-WAN, which is we have some more capabilities that we've added, more vendors that we're supporting. So not just Meraki, but also VelaCloud, and we're working on Viptela right now. And so we're going to continue to expand down additional vendors here as we go through 2023. So as I mentioned, we're working on Viptela right now. Then we'll work on Silver Peak, CloudGenix, and others. So that'll be a consistent theme as well through 2023 as more organizations are rolling out SD-WAN solutions within their enterprise on that front.
And SD-WAN is one of the areas that not only do our hybrid cloud observability customers benefit from, but our network and system module customers benefit from that functionality as well. We also have releases coming out for those customers who are still on our modules. Of course, there are some features that are exclusive to hybrid cloud observability, particularly around the AIOps, because that move to that holistic solution has enabled us to bring those more intelligent features in. But SD-WAN, extended SD-WAN observability, hybrid cloud observability, and our module customers are both benefiting from those new features that are coming out.
Yeah, and the other one, you talk about AIOps, the other feature that I'm really excited about, we've had it in tech preview, for probably last 6 months, on that front. So we've worked really closely with the AIOps team, and this is the alert stack functionality. And what this is really starting to allow folks to do is, you got the AIOps portion, which helps cut down on the alert noise, but then the alerts that do fire, how do they relate to each other? How do you understand, interdependencies? Is it 5 issues or is it 1 issue that are all tied together across those alerts? And so Alert Stack is, a really great set of functionality that gives you the ability to kind of visually correlate those and understand relationships and dependencies and ultimately drive to what our customers want, which is quicker mean time to identification and resolution on that front. And so all of these capabilities are really aimed at continuing to drive down that value or drive down that metric.
Brandon, I'm most excited about Alert Stack in this release. We've been talking about this for a while because it's been in feature preview, but now it's generally available to all of our hybrid cloud observability customers who come to this latest release. It's expanding our capabilities to reduce the alert noise. That's a huge pain point that we hear from our customers. There's just too many alerts coming in. It takes too long to sort through. They need to get to that resolution faster. And honestly, the stakes are higher now. When things have gone wrong, businesses are losing money. People are being impacted. Users are being impacted. And so it's really critical that that when something does go wrong, we find out what it is and we're able to solve it as fast as possible. So previous releases, we've brought in anomaly-based alerts to help reduce that alert noise. Now we have Alert Stack to quickly get to a mean time to resolution, find out what is the cause, what is the effect, so we don't have those alert storms causing such a problem.
Absolutely. This is a huge feature. And so the other thing to realize and keep in mind is, we've been selling hybrid cloud observability for about 18 months now. And we've got over north of 700 customers that have deployed hybrid cloud observability. And so, we've learned a lot of lessons, on that front. But typically what is driving a lot of those conversations is the simplified licensing, the fact that it is a single package, the fact that I can easily predict and understand what I need to purchase for my organization versus needing a PhD in order to figure out what I need to buy. And that's some of the feedback that we had heard through the years, that our licensing had gotten complex. And so folks really like that simplicity when it comes to licensing, when it comes to deployment flexibility. That is a big motivator in of itself of moving to hybrid cloud observability of our existing customers, along with all the additional functionalities that they get, on that front.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Brandon. It's something that in the spirit of listening to our customers over the years, we added more and more functionality to help them get that full view, to help them better understand their environment, to solve their problems faster. But coming with that additional functionality came complex licensing. We were asking our customers to purchase multiple different products. We had them built on a shared platform so that they could share data back and forth and work out of a single web console. But it had gotten really complicated. And not only that, it was hard to manage. And you don't want to spend time managing your tools. You want to spend time managing your environment. Excellent. So hybrid cloud observability is bringing that license flexibility to our customers because we broke all those elements down, rebuilt them into one solution on the SolarWinds platform. Then now we're able to help our customers be more flexible and be able to respond to changes in their environment more quickly. Whether they are going through an acquisition and need to quickly take a new group and bring them up, or they want to break out their environment into separate geographic groups or by separate business units. We've heard all of these use cases from our customers who really appreciate the ability to purchase a single license and divide out the nodes into however many instances they need to best serve their environment.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great point there. Especially as we look at hybrid cloud observability, and we'll talk about SolarWinds observability here in a second, is really about meeting customers not just where they're at today, but where they're going tomorrow. And that's something that really resonates with folks. The fact that, the solution that I purchased today, even though my organization's going to grow and evolve over the next 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, I know that SolarWinds is going to be with me as I go through that journey. And so whether I need to be hybrid, exclusively on premises or exclusively in the cloud.
One of the things we've heard from our customers is, it's been a few years where there's been a huge push into the cloud, and a lot of our customers had organizational initiatives to move things to the cloud. Now that that has been in place for a few years, they're discovering that some business services are actually better serve their needs when they're in more of a hybrid model. Some things are on premises, some things are in the cloud, and they need visibility across all of that. It's not an either or. We're definitely in an and environment, an and situation right now. And they need solutions that give them that visibility and also allow them to manage that at their own pace. If they are trying to migrate, they need to do it at a pace that they can sustain in their business while being able to focus on their other priorities as well.
That's kind of hybrid cloud observability and the updates since October when we last talked. Now, SolarWinds observability has also made a lot of great strides and enhancements, in their solution. And so a big theme or priority focus area for the SWO team or the SolarWinds observability team has been hyperscaler. Folks like Azure and AWS on that front. And so those are the two that we primarily support today. We are adding support for additional data centers in which we host and run SolarWinds observability from. So we'll have data centers not just in North America, but also in Europe and Asia Pacific as well. So where there are data residency requirements, where there are security requirements that data has to remain in country, like Germany, for example, on that front. We'll have additional support for additional data centers to provide that hosting flexibility there.
Brandon, this is going to be a big win for our customers, whether they are headquartered in one of these regions of the world or they have a global presence and need to spin up multiple instances in these other regions as well.
Yeah, and the other thing too on this front, is these marketplaces from Azure and AWS. They are becoming much more of a traditional means in which folks are wanting to procure software and procure solutions within their environment. And so SolarWinds observability is currently available in the AWS or Amazon Web Services marketplace, and the team is actively working on Azure and their marketplace, and that should be live sometime here in the first quarter on that front. So stay tuned for more information on that front. Other things to keep in mind in terms of relationship with Microsoft and with Amazon is, we are a gold ISV partner with Microsoft, and we are an AWS ISV partner with Amazon Web Services. So we do have really great and strong relationships with these vendors that we're continuing to nurture and foster and expand on that front. And the team did invest some effort and time in terms of integrating with AWS CloudWatch and Azure Monitor on that front. So that way, as we go and we work with these hyperscaler providers, we have a comprehensive story that we can go to market and pitch together with them on that front.
A lot of great updates there for SolarWinds observability.
Absolutely. And the other big area that they had in terms of the last few months is around digital experience monitoring. And so there are multiple elements to digital experience monitoring. There's traditional synthetics, which is more kind of bot-based. And then there's real user monitoring, which is based upon the actual user's interaction with that application or website. And with this latest releases, SolarWinds observability has really expanded and deepened the real user monitoring capabilities that it has in the product. So doing things like monitoring what's called a SPA or a single paged application on that front. That is something that is a great forward enhancement for the solution.
This is going to be fantastic. We know how important the user experience is for a business's reputation and a business's success. So having this real user monitoring added to SolarWinds observability is going to be a big win for those customers.
And with this, we've talked about HCO, we've talked about SWO. We don't want to forget about our friends over in database and ITSM. They're actively working on new capabilities and features as well. One of the big areas for 23 that they're going to focus on is around AI chatbot. So having the ability to ask a question and get an answer back from a smart chatbot around, I need to unlock my computer. I need to add a piece of software. How do I do that? And so that, there are continue to be great advancements and strides forward in both of those areas as well. So don't want to forget about them, here as we celebrate SolarWinds Day.
Yeah, and in the spirit of full observability, we see those integrations with our database offerings, with our service desk offerings into hybrid cloud observability and SolarWinds observability so that we can deliver that full view across the entire ecosystem for our customers. And the other thing I heard you mention many times, Brandon, today is AI. That seems to be a theme that's reaching across all of these updates as well.
So a lot of great updates, across the entire portfolio that have been done over the last 3 months. As Abigail mentioned earlier, on hybrid cloud observability, we're kind of in a quarterly release cadence. So you're going to see every quarter continued updates, whereas SolarWinds observability is releasing every 2 weeks. So, you're going to see constant iterative improvements and enhancements to the solutions that we're bringing to market.
Speaking of the integrations, Brandon, I don't want to leave out security observability. I know that's not this release. It came out in the last release of Hybrid Cloud Observability, but this very tight integration with Security Event Manager and Access Rights Manager brings data from those modules into a security dashboard within Hybrid Cloud Observability that's enhanced with other data that's already within Hybrid Cloud Observability so that we can help our customers have more confidence around their security posture.
So across the board, you can see great updates, across HCO, SWO, database, ITSM, a lot of great things going on here in the business, and we're absolutely excited about it. And we're looking forward to our next SolarWinds Day and bringing you some more updates.
Yeah. And for all of you who are current customers, if you want to try out the latest release of HCO, just go into your customer portal, download the latest release, or if you are one of our network and systems module customers, you can try it today with Instant Eval. Go into License Manager in your web console, and you can start a 30-day free trial of Hybrid Cloud Observability. No download, no install required.
Hello, I'm Jeff Stewart, Field CTO at SolarWinds. Today I have the pleasure of welcoming Jeppy Sumter, Assistant Vice President of Information Technology Services at Western Kentucky University. Jeppy has been a long-standing SolarWinds customer, and I welcome him to the show today. Jeppy, to get started, if you don't mind, give us a little bit of background about yourself and your team at Western Kentucky University.
Sure. I guess starting with the university itself, located in Bowling Green, Kentucky, I believe third largest city in Kentucky. WKU, mid-sized university. I think we have around 16,000 students now, somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,700 employees, full-time and part-time. And our IT team is, I guess, just shy of 100 people. My role now, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, I've been here for a while and I've played several roles, and currently I am in what for the university is the equivalent of a CIO and CISO role. So,
awesome. Thanks for that, Jeppy. And yeah, 100 folks in IT, and just thinking about the size of the university, not only from a faculty and staff perspective, but 16,000 students. So if you think about those students as your customers as well, I would imagine you guys face quite a bit of challenges with a staff of that size and trying to service all of those customers.
It can be a challenge at times, and you hit the nail on the head. IT organizations, I guess everywhere, but especially in IT, have found are they largely centralized or decentralized? And we are very much a centralized shop at the university. And so we play a lot of roles. We wear many hats, and you're absolutely right. The most important customer that we have is our students. That's why this place exists. And so they mean the most to us, but we provide services to everybody at the university, those employees, those students, affiliates, and even to, it's a diverse environment. Even to some degree, we have tenants using our space. We have guests on our campus all the time. And so, one of the exciting yet also daunting things is that there's always something new and interesting and different going on.
Yeah, and I would imagine it's not just the local campus where you sit, but you also have remote satellite campuses and then international reach. So, in thinking about how you service the students at the university and faculty and staff, I imagine you have to think about that in a fairly distributed manner.
We do. Certainly our largest campus, the one I'd mentioned located in Bowling Green, is kind of our headquarters. But yet, to your point, we have distributed campuses in other locations around the state. We really kind of view things as borderless nowadays. I mean, we have WKU people, whether that be the employees or the students, all over the place in Kentucky, the United States, and around the world at any given time. And so, a lot of different tools in the toolbox to try to handle that and support people as best we can, no matter where they are. You can imagine, especially, after what everybody's been facing the last few years, IT has played a pivotal role, a critical role in making sure we can still deliver those services no matter where somebody sits.
Awesome. So many advances in technology today, and sometimes those advances improve how we work with technology and our lives. But to your point, sometimes things just break. Sometimes those things that break are outside of the control of the IT team. But as a leader in the industry, I would imagine that you want to know about those things that are breaking, potentially before they break if possible, with maybe some predictive AI or analytics and seasonality, but also before your clients know, before the faculty and staff know, before you have a plethora of students ringing the help desk. How do you think about tools, and maybe specifically SolarWinds? How have those tools really helped you and your team solve some of those challenges?
At this point, I don't think we can imagine an environment or an operation where we're not relying on those tools every day. And to your point, SolarWinds has been our partner down that road, over 15 years now. So somewhere, I think, right around that mark. That has been a progression for us. Prior to our partnership with SolarWinds, we were using bits and pieces of open source tools that are out there. Largely our philosophy now, especially when it comes to in-house build versus trying to buy a commercial solution, we're always trying to seek that commercial solution first, unless there's a real reason to do otherwise. And so, internally, we've talked about over the years, like, if we were trying to do what we are doing today with SolarWinds, and if we tried to do that with those open source bits and pieces of software here and there, I'm not saying it's not possible, but I can't imagine the labor resources that it would take to do that. And I still, by no means would you have that cohesive view of everything, which is where a lot of the real power comes into play. The tools, the features that they have now, as we're getting more into AI and what I will say baselining concepts and stuff, anomaly detection, it's far beyond just basic, this thing's broke and figure it out. It's, this thing isn't performing well, and we have a tremendous amount of assistance with the tool to pinpoint where that's happening, because it looks deep, but it also looks wide and gives us that end-to-end view.
Thanks for that. Jeppy, you and your team were one of the first customers that adopted hybrid cloud observability, which is SolarWinds' new platform and new offering that really meets customers where they are on their journey towards either cloud native or really a hybrid setup. Can you tell me a little bit as to why Western Kentucky University chose hybrid cloud observability as their observability platform?
Well, every IT shop is different in their own ways, but I think at some point or some level, we're all on that same journey. All the things that we do evolve over time. But what we've seen in IT environments, IT shops for a long time, especially the larger you are, the more likely, in my experience, it has been that you're going to have a variety of ways you approach things. And so just the nature of IT that has been on that journey and ends up with that diversity, be it a more traditional on-prem data center or data centers, platform as a service style, and then of course services as a service, whether that's database or the actual services provided by vendors that are relying on public cloud services. It's across the board, and so it kind of goes back to reliability. You get more diversity. Sometimes it is harder to know where problems are, who to call, who to talk to, how to get things fixed. You have to have the tool set that you're using. So, this observability platform, it really has to be following that same journey or keeping up with people on that journey to be able to see all of these different places where in the past, some of the tools had to look in this spot or that spot, or they didn't have to look that deep. As IT environments get more complex, the tools have to follow suit as well.
Jeppy, I would imagine with a network of your size and the number of services that you're providing and employees that you're serving as an IT leader, that you're hit up daily by different vendors trying to sell you different tools or provide different strategies on how you provide those services. In your mind, what goes into vendor selection and really what provides a good relationship between the university and a vendor?
We don't necessarily want to have that mindset of just, we've been with somebody for so long and it's just easy to stick with them, so that's why we're doing it. I don't think that's the environment many people are operating in. That's certainly not ours. But then, so that goes to say, hey, we've been with SolarWinds for 15 years. So what is it about that relationship that has worked well for us? So not only is it the product, I think it's been the team of people at SolarWinds that if we were trying to find a solution or achieve goals, we've always been able to turn to our partners at SolarWinds to figure out ways to achieve those goals. From a product management perspective too, I think we have seen balance that I don't always see with some other vendors, which is concerning at times. And by that, I mean, certainly businesses want to drive new business. And so a lot of product management and product development goes into into features within the product that might drive that new business. Several times that might be specific features or maybe from specific prospective clients that are looking for things. And I have seen vendors and their products then suffer because it leans very heavily to that side of new customer acquisition, where I feel like what has worked really well with our SolarWinds relationship and what we've seen in that platform is that we are seeing development and we are always seeing features come out that also cater to the existing customer. By nature of the beast, it kind of goes with what we were talking about. Our IT worlds are shifting all the time, so the product has to keep pace. But I think there's more to that story too, in that it's not only about that, because that's great for both sets of customers, new and existing. There have been ideas that we've had that SolarWinds has had an open ear and been willing to collaborate with us on to see if it makes sense. And sometimes that does, sometimes that doesn't make sense for a product. But it is meaningful for a vendor to have an open ear like that and be willing to work with us.
Awesome. I appreciate that feedback and the nice words about SolarWinds. We absolutely pride ourselves on us listening to our customers, our product management, our UX team working directly with folks like yourself and your team, Jeppy, and all of that feedback that we collect from you all as well as our user community are ideas that we take back to the product as we know that they'll deliver immediate value. So keep the feedback coming, keep the relationship going. We absolutely appreciate that, and that's really what powers SolarWinds. Jeppy, I know you work with a lot of peers in surrounding universities, UK and others, maybe even in other states. What advice would you have for your peers that are evaluating an observability solution, especially one that for you all is kind of set up in a hybrid world of on-premises, cloud, remote, et cetera?
We kind of talked about, whether it's higher ed, whether it's other verticals, even within higher ed, everybody, tends to have slightly, certainly diverse environments, in some cases, some few niche, unique things. But there's a lot of variance. And while there are differences in all of those environments, I do think that a lot of us are on a similar journey. We're experiencing similar things. While we sit here, in our offices and collaborating within a given university, we think we might be facing things that are unique. And when we talk to other people, it's always interesting to see they're facing a lot of the same things. So I think there's a lot more commonality than there are differences. And I think that's important to bear in mind that people, a lot of what they're doing might not be that unique. And there are vendors out there with experience tailoring to those environments. And so, a vendor that has a lot of experience in that space, that has a strong team to help guide the customer to figure out the pieces and parts of a solution that are going to mesh up with their goals. I think that's important. I think, to some degree, having a pedigree of experience, having years under the belt of providing proven solutions that can achieve those goals and aren't necessarily just vaporware or this or that feature is coming, I think is important. If you don't have that insight into the services that you're providing, that's a problem. You said it exactly, Jeff. I mean, in an ideal world, we want to know about problems before the client even knows about them. Now, that's not always possible, but where it is, that's where we want to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jeppy, thanks again for your time today. Really appreciate it. It's great to see the services that you're providing to Western Kentucky University, all the students, faculty, and staff, and the journey that you guys have been on for the past 20 years. You all have accomplished amazing things at the university, and I look forward to the next 20 years.
We appreciate the opportunity, Jeff, and want to thank SolarWinds for providing great service and products to us.
Thanks for joining us on this SolarWinds Day. I am Kevin Sparenberg, and I am a customer. Well, former customer. When I used the SolarWinds solutions first, I was a network and systems engineer, and I was dealing with the same problems that pretty much all IT professionals are dealing with these days. That is, more work, more systems, more complexity, all with less time. And I can say with 100% sincerity, the best thing I ever did to advance my career was to join THWAC. It's really easy, and if you are not a member, you should be. It takes literally minutes. And the greatest part about this is that THWAC is a community in the truest sense of the word. There are hundreds of thousands of other people out there struggling with the same problems that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and they want to be there to help you. I want to encourage everybody here to take a little bit of time, join the missions, come see us at a SolarWinds user group or something like that. But there's a lot more to say about THWAC, and I'm not the only one involved. I want to introduce Rob and Kristen back in our home office. Rob, are you there?
Thanks, Kevin. So I'm Robert Blair Vega, also known as Robert 007.
And I'm Kristen Pina Flores, known as K Pina on THWAC.
Yeah, so I've been with SolarWinds for going on 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so I started out in our sales department as an account manager, and then I was able to actually move on and go into our customer marketing team and do customer and sales enablement, as well as our advocacy, which
Amazing.
I've always wanted to then really go in and be a part of the community. And now I have the opportunity, now I actually manage the team. So I love being
amazing.
part of the community. What about you,
Love
Kristen?
it. Love it. Yeah, I've been with SolarWinds for almost 6 years now, if you can believe it. Yeah, just love it so much. But recently joined the community team in 2021 as the marketing manager, and that gave me a really unique perspective of helping our customers understand what the community was about and really unlock the power of it. And more recently, I've been granted, the special privilege of becoming the community manager. So that's really exciting to get to engage with our users day to day and make sure that they get the right answers to their questions.
Absolutely. Now, Kristen, you bring up a good question that I have. How many members do we actually have on THWAC?
We have 190,000 and counting THWAC members.
Wow, 190,000 members.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And as Kevin said, we want you as a member, we want you as a member, we even want you as a member.
But that number is so crucial, Rob, because
absolutely.
it's a true testament to how much SolarWinds really cares about its customers and how much we're really ready to commit to making sure that they have a place to come to feel safe, to feel heard, and to really just network with one another and understand, what they're going through, and we're there to listen.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we do when we're listening is we really want to encourage you to be engaging as much as possible.
Yes.
We want you to participate as constantly as you can,
Definitely.
but also to contribute. And that's what the community is all about, is asking those questions, getting that feedback. And how do we reward you with that? We actually give you THWAC points. What are THWAC points good for?
Everybody loves THWAC points, Rob, and those THWAC points are good for, converting to swag in our store. But, the more you contribute, the more you also set yourself apart as a distinguished THWAC member, which could lead you to being nominated for our THWAC MVP program. Again, just really sets you apart as that, distinguished member of the community. You're, outstanding achievements and your contributions to the day-to-day of the community really shines. And at the end of the day, they're our biggest advocate. So, Rob, how do we create that bidirectional dialogue with our users day to day? We have so many programs here to offer our customers, but how do we, create that without stepping on the toes of any of our other programs? What's your favorite THWAC community program?
Mine would be a SWUG,
Yeah.
SolarWinds user groups. They're absolutely phenomenal.
Yes, I agree.
And what's really great about a SWUG, they're 2-day events, they're in person, and they're free. We have them around the world, so check out thwac.com in our events section to see if we're coming near a city near you.
Yeah.
But what's really great about a SWUG is what are some of the things that you can get at a SWUG that you can't get anywhere else?
Yeah, you get access to our executives, our head geeks. You get to hear more about our product roadmap. And then most importantly, it's the personification of our community in real life. You get to talk to those people that you see every day on the screen in person. So I think that's, for me, my favorite part.
What else do you like about our programs that we offer, Kristen?
Well, my other favorite program is our monthly mission program. So this is something we offer every month, and it's a daily question that we ask our users on THWAC that our product leaders are, devoted to creating for them every month, and it allows them to learn about products that they might otherwise never have learned about. Typically you own one thing and you may not ever get to get out of that box of just learning about that one thing. Well, this is your opportunity every day to come and to talk to other users. And it really builds a sense of camaraderie trying to get that answer correct every day, because what do you get out of it?
Points. Who wants swag?
Who wants swag, exactly. And you get to qualify for really amazing prizes. What do we give away, Rob?
Raspberry Pi. We've given away bikes.
All
what else are we
kinds
giving
of
away?
Really cool stuff,
All kinds of stuff.
Cocktail maker machines,
name it, it's in
espresso
there.
machines, it's all in there. And that, again, is just a really fun, unique, it's a gamified process that allows our users to just get back to the fun of IT learning.
Absolutely. And I think what's great about that too is that some of the other programs that we have, we have our MVP program. Christian, you want to tell us about MVP?
Yeah, so the MVP program is just really what sets you apart as a THWAC user. So, you've set yourself apart, you contribute every day to the community, so that will qualify you to become a member of our MVP program. These are our super users. These are our people who are committed to helping their fellow IT peer every day in the THWAC community learn more about what they have going on in their environment, or learn more about the product that maybe they necessarily had a question they couldn't get answered by support, or they didn't have the time to do so. They come to the community first, and they can get that question asked and answered by a fellow IT peer right away.
Absolutely, and our MVPs are invaluable.
Yes.
So again, that's why we've got over 190,000 members, because it's members like yourself and soon-to-be members, which we hope you're going to be joining at the end of this call, or at the end of this video. So we hope you're going to be able to join, which is what we want you to do. But what's really important about the THWAC community itself is that we listen, and we want your feedback. We want that participation.
Yes, 100%.
Thank you so much, Robert and Kristen, for taking us through THWAC and what it has to offer. We covered a lot of topics today, and I would like to especially thank our guest speakers, Jeppy Sumter from Western Kentucky University and Stephen Elliott from IDC. We will be hosting our next SolarWinds Day event this summer, which will focus on security and our Secure by Design initiative, and we hope to see you then. Thank you very much for joining.